welcome back to Drunk Storytime with Quefish. I am Quefish. This is the drunk. I am at the bottom of the lucky duck, which wasn't all that lucky because I had to add Chambord to it because it was kind of gross. Because it was like $2.50 at Walmart. But it was called Lucky Duck, so I had to try it. So, for this particular episode, we have Say Crack Again by Mackaley. And we have a couple of different chapters. They're short. Like I said, I started the bottle for the first video, and this is only my second video, so I'm in my cups. So, Say Crack Again, Chapter 16, Americana. Summary is, Aziraphale has the best fucking food he's ever eaten. There is the prompt is for drug usage. Just in case that is a problem for anyone. And Mackaley says, I have gotten high one time. Someone gave me a weed gummy at a Christmas party, and then I had a piece of apple pie that was incredible. I still think about it to this day. It's not cracky, it's a dedication to my love of that piece of apple pie. I will say that I have tried a couple times to get high specifically on marijuana. It did not work. It literally did nothing. But I know that the second time that I tried, the people that I was with thought that I was, because I felt bad, because apparently it was really good stuff. And unfortunately it was the end of the night, and so I was actually hungry. I didn't have the munchies. I just had like a standard meal, and then I was done. And they had me sing this weird, stupid fucking song. But the whole time I was like, I'm not high. I'm laughing because your song is stupid, and I feel bad because I'm not high. I tried marijuana like 3 other times. Maybe 2 times. I've also tried acid twice. And neither time did it do anything for me. My entertainment value for being on acid was watching other people. And my boyfriend at the time being outside having a cigarette on like the back. I mean, it wasn't even like a patio. It was just like the concrete slab outside the back door of a friend's house. And just started bouncing. And he was like, wow, this concrete is really bouncy. And then my girlfriend, who was standing there, just started like bouncing. She was like, oh my God, you're right. That was my entertainment. My entertainment was watching people watch a cat watch television. It was a waste of money. All right, so where was I? Aziraphale eats an apple pie in this one. All right, so again, sorry about the 4-minute detour. Say Crack Again by Mackaley, Chapter 16, Americana. The thing is, Aziraphale hadn't meant to get high, but he had a craving for apple pie at this bakery across town. And the baker's son was always such a nice boy, if a bit listless, and he wasn't going to pass up what the boy called a magic cookie, even if he had mostly accepted it out of politeness. It was the late 1960s. He wasn't an idiot. He really should have seen this coming. He'd eaten the cookie on the way back to the shop, apple pie tucked safe in the wooden box Aziraphale carried merrily by a string, and as soon as he stepped through the doorway, it hit. It started with a giggle as he remembered something funny he'd read the previous day, and ended with a deep groan and an, "Oh, bother," when he realized what had happened. By the time he locked the door, pulled the shades, and set the pie down, he couldn't do anything but sit in his favorite chair and slump down in his seat. His mind dragged as he found himself staring at absolutely nothing for who knows how long, until it realized it had been staring at nothing and whipped itself into desperate focus, only to drag like molasses again. He really needed to sober up. He tilted his head and caught a glimpse of the still warm apple pie, spiraling steam escaping from the shining golden crust. Well, one slice before he took care of his intoxication couldn't hurt. The first bite was revelatory, and he moaned around the fork. The perfectly flaky crust provided a slight resistance against his teeth, but soon gave way to the perfect, warm, gooey sugar tartness of the filling. He held it heavy on his tongue, tasting the perfect play of spices to complement the flavor, the delicate pieces of apple suspended in the filling. He chewed through his bite slowly, uttering noises of deep satisfaction as every ingredient and texture melded together in perfect harmony. He swallowed and took another bite. The second bite was somehow better than the first. The surprise of how exquisite the previous taste was fell away into eager anticipation as he closed his mouth around the fork again. He picked up different notes this time, the salty cheddar baked into the crust, marrying perfectly with the apple. That sounds amazing. The perfectly distinct and harmonious notes of nutmeg and cinnamon. He had never, in his life, tasted anything better than this apple pie that he had had at least a dozen times before, and somehow never appreciated fully until this moment. Before he knew it, the slice of apple pie was gone, and he looked down at the plate forlornly, scraping any leftover amount of crust and apple filling onto his fork, and desperately chasing after the feeling. He was supposed to do something after this, right? He looked back down at the remainder of the pie in the neat wooden box and grinned as he pulled it closer to him, shoving the plate aside. Well, there was no harm in finishing the rest of the pie as he tried to remember his plans for the rest of the day. Oh, that's fantastic. I hoped so much. I had really high hopes for both of the times that I ever tried anything illicit. Did not work. I actually kind of envy people that it does work for. So, Say Crack Again by Mackaley, Chapter 17, Dick-ination. If this is some kind of what is this the thing called where you have like the stick and your water sounding? Dowsing? Is that dowsing? I'll be really impressed with myself if it's dowsing. just see somebody, dick out and just trying to find water. Oh boy. Back to seriousness. This is serious business. Whew. Summary is Aziraphale gets a little tipsy, a little horny, and writes some nice and accurate prophecies of his own. The prompt is prophecies. I've told you before, the only true book of prophecy is Agnes Nutter's Nice and Accurate. Yes, I know. It's my point. All the rest is bollocks then. Make enough vague statements and one of them's bound to come true, like... Crowley swung his wineglass in a large arc and preemptively waved off the angel's scowl as it threatened to splash on the carpet. Aziraphale watched as he surveyed the shelves briefly before plucking a book with his slender fingers and broad palm that would feel wonderful, gripping onto his hip as he just ducked his head to take another sip of wine, pointedly ignoring how well Crowley's trousers fit. His hip cocked in a way that perfectly accentuated his narrow waist, his gorgeous legs. Another deep gulp. I think I need one too. Crowley flipped through the book before letting out a cry of triumph. See? Nostradamus. He said there'll be a fire, mysterious circumstances. And then any bloody fire that might vaguely fit this situation. Oh yes, Nostradamus, how wise you are to divine the future. It's rubbish. Aziraphale nodded, very much paying attention and not at all focusing on the demon's lips and the flashes of tongue as he spoke. Well, yes, Crowley, with the exception of Agnes Nutter, there aren't any true seers, at least as far as we know. Maybe there were, and they just didn't bother writing a book. But the point stands that some humans were more gifted at observing their surroundings and the trends of history, and were able to make fairly accurate predictions. It was almost supernatural. Crowley looked up from the book he was flipping through and grinned at Aziraphale. Supernatural. Well, yes. So you're saying a supernatural being could accurately prophesy the future. Is that how that verb conjugates? I've never thought about it. Doesn't matter. Aziraphale was beginning to feel like this was a trap. But oh, the way Crowley was smiling at him, teasing around his lips, his laugh lines deep in affection. Certainly a non-human entity would be better at it than a human. We have senses that the humans don't. Bet you couldn't write one, Crowley muttered, although distinctly loud enough for Aziraphale to hear it. He sputtered in indignation. I could write an accurate prophecy. Could not. Could too. Crowley snapped the book shut and placed it back on the shelf. Do it then. Write me a nice and accurate prophecy. Aziraphale stood up dramatically to adjust his chair at his desk and grabbed a sheath of paper and a fountain pen. Crowley hovered at his shoulder, bending over to look at the blank page expectantly. His breath panted hot against Aziraphale's ear, and the angel felt his skin flush. I can't very well concentrate while you're looming like a menace. Begone, demon. I'll see you in a few weeks, and we can discuss it then. Crowley sobered up, bid goodbye, and left Aziraphale to his task. He took a deep sigh and placed his pen to paper several times before deciding some more wine was in store if he was to do this properly. Can't predict the future, sober. God damn, I'm funny. That was just a funny fucking sentence. Oh, I'm all pink now. Okay. Some more wine was in store if he was to do this properly. He fetched another bottle of Lucky Duck and cleaned up their wine glasses, his thumb stroking fondly over the lip print on Crowley's. Oh. With everything in place, he sat down and began to write. 3 decades he'd kept his secret. 3 blissful decades that all came crashing down after accepting Crowley's kind offer to carry a box of his books into the newly purchased cottage. 30 years before the cottage? Oh my God. Oh, Angel. Crowley's voice was honey-coated in a triumphant drawl that made Aziraphale's stomach plummet. He entered the library with a nervous look on his face. Am I even still coherent? Yes, darling? Crowley held up a small, red, leather-bound book. Aziraphale wished he could discorporate on the spot. You told me you never actually wrote any prophecies. That you gave up, realized how hard it was. You conceded. Let me win that one. Yes. Well, but here I see that you actually did attempt a little future gazing. Although these are very naughty, Angel. For instance, number 27. Oh my God, how many did you write? Number 27. He cleared his throat, and Aziraphale buried his face in his hands, his cheeks blazing. Oh, that Crowley would Oh, that Crowley would bend me over this desk at which I am sitting and take me with his beautiful hands and his beautiful cock. And oh Lord, he really is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. Thank you. Very complimentary. That one came true first thing after Armageddon, actually. Oh my God, that's fucking awesome. He flipped to another page and barked out a laugh. Number 69. 69. Succinct. That one's come true as well, many times. You talk about my fiery locks a lot in these. Explains your predilection for pulling my hair. Not that I'm complaining. Aziraphale let out a final embarrassed groan into his hands before stomping over and snatching the book out of his hands. Crowley laughed and pulled him into an embrace, kissing his forehead. It's flattering, Aziraphale. I mean, it's also deeply embarrassing for you. But it's nice. The angel sniffed. Yes, well, I got very drunk that night, and you looked very attractive, and it wasn't my fault that I had certain activities on my mind. Yes, I'm very attractive. He looked down at the book in Aziraphale's hands. But look, you've written the second ever true prophecy book. All of those have come true. Well, Aziraphale smiled coquettishly. There's still one prophecy that hasn't come to pass. Crowley flashed him a smile. Oh, really? Aziraphale crowded him against the desk and pointed at a sentence toward the bottom of the page. Crowley's eyes flickered across the text before his eyebrows shot up his forehead. He gaped at Aziraphale. Really? Really? He skimmed his fingers along the hem of Crowley's t-shirt. Would you be amenable? Crowley growled and pulled Aziraphale hungrily into his arms. Oh, that's the end? What did they do? What did they do? What was that prophecy? I must know what that prophecy is. Hang on. Where's the comments? What's the prophecy? There's no prophecy in the comments. But a lot of people are asking no. Oh, I hope it's some deliciously naughty role play. So this was 16 and 17 of Say Crack Again by Mackaley. So thank you for joining me for the story and the absolutely terrible bottom of Lucky Duck that had to be drank with Chambord because it was shit. The stories were not shit. The story was amazing. The wine, not as much. But I'm definitely going to read some more stories. So, thank you very much. Thank you for I did it twice. I did it twice. Serious business. Thank you for